All right. Good evening, everybody. Welcome back. We're excited to be back for week 2 edition of the 2021 BSB Podcast. This is our second season back at you. I am Sean Kaus.
I'm Tony James.
And we are your betting strategy brothers. We love doing this. We have so much fun. But just a quick reminder, we're here to teach. We're here to help. That's the whole point of this program, is to teach you, to help you, to try to give you stuff to think about, stuff to look at. We're teachers as our profession. Hopefully someday this will be our full-time profession, but as of right now, we're teachers. So that's what we're trying to do here, is help you guys, teach you guys, and do what we do best. But we do not guarantee anything we predict. We're not that good that we can guarantee it. Even though we may say, I guarantee it, we really don't.
For sure.
But hopefully pick up something good. Hopefully pick up something good out of this.
Well, yeah, that's the whole idea, right? We want you to learn something, and like I like to say, either take our picks to the window or fade our picks to the window. Either way, we want you to go to the window again to collect your money when the game's over. So, that's that. And not only do we love our sports and our betting, but we also love our beer. So we have our flavor of the week. This week, mine is from another local brewery down here in Orange County called Brewery X. I got it in my little Battleborn koozie because I'm ready to go for tomorrow.
Go Wolfpack.
Yeah, for sure. And this is called Slap and Tickle. And, it's good for those nights when, the wife goes to bed early or something. I still can get a little slap and tickle in. What do you got in there, Kaus?
Oh, that's a great name. I love the name these breweries come up with for beers. So
yeah.
I'm actually going to talk about 2 beers right now. So every Friday on my way home, we got to do our podcast, and I get a beer for the flavor of the week. Something I feel like drinking, and I do drink it on Sundays when I'm watching, Sunday Fun Day here. But I saw from Grand Canyon Brewery, local brewery up north here. I love their beers. They have great beers. Okay, I'm a big fan of Grand Canyon.
Me too.
I said, "Oh, it's pumpkin Springs. I'm all things Burr. Like, I love all the Burr months: September, October, November. My birthday's there, Halloween's there, your birthday's there.
Yep.
And I love the can. I thought the can was sweet. I'm like, oh, awesome. And I'm like, oh, it's a spiced porter. I'm not a huge porter guy, but okay, I'll check it out. I got to tell you, I took one sip, down the drain, the rest went. I couldn't do it, and that's sacrilege. Like, I hate wasting beer, but it was part of the problem. I think was that it was flat. And I'm not necessarily blaming Grand Canyon for that, but it was flat. But it was not. I don't recommend it. If you're a big porter person, maybe, but I think that's the only way you drink it. And I love all sorts of different beers, and I won't, if I have a beer and I buy it, I'm going to drink it whether I like it or not. And this one I just can't do.
Yeah,
so.
And that sucks, man. When one of your favorite breweries, you want to try everything, right? Because they're your favorite, and you go and sometimes it's just a swing and a miss, right? And you're like, missed out on that one. But what really sucks, dude, is that you probably had to buy 4 or 6 of them, right?
I have 4 of them. Yep.
Yeah. So now you're like, do I spill the rest of them down the drain, or do I just go, hey, I got this beer you want to try?
Yeah, that's going to be in the fridge for the night when either I'm really drunk and I need something, or a neighbor comes over and wants to borrow a beer. So
there you go.
They're going to sit there, but I'm probably going to keep one just because I think the can is really cool and I want to keep that. But then I went back and I said, oh, I had this last season, for those of you guys that paid attention last season, but I haven't yet this season. So the 805 Cerveza. Now I like 805. I like their stuff, but the Cerveza is really good. It's got a little bit of lime in there, gives it a little bit of a twist. With an IPA, it just tastes amazing. I love it.
Yeah, man. I had an 805 last week watching some football, and it was really light and refreshing and, very crushable. Firestone Walker is a really good brewery. I really enjoyed their tasting room, so I can totally see why you would jump into that. So, yeah, for sure, man. Let's get.
They were on special too.
Oh, hell
All
yeah.
right, but before we get into our picks, though, I want to talk about last week and what we did. Last year, we weren't as good about updating, so we're going to do a little updating this week, even though it was – look, first week is the hardest week. You have no idea what to expect. There were upsets all over last week. It was a crazy week. And week 1 through 3 are usually really crazy. You're going to have an upset every week, but the first 3 weeks are tough because you don't know who is what and what is who.
Well, you know what else? What else is like you're watching, like I'm watching the Raider game, right? Derek Carr didn't play in the preseason at all, so it's like the first few minutes, it's even the first half, it's like a preseason game for them. They have to get their timing back. I mean, you can only do so much in practice. You need game reps to get good. I saw that in that game. I saw it in the Green Bay game. Aaron Rodgers looked like freaking horse crap. And
yes,
and Jameis Winston looked really good, which is really scary. Yeah. So yeah, I completely agree. The first 3 weeks are kind of a crapshoot. Around week 4, you start to see teams' true colors.
Yeah, and you're still going to have upsets even every week, but it's just going to happen more and more during the first 3 weeks because you're trying to figure out. And even like Buffalo didn't look good last week, and Josh Allen did play a little bit in the preseason, but it's also they haven't had fans like they did last week in 2 years. Last year they had none, and they might have had some in preseason, but they weren't selling out and going crazy. It was that gets your adrenaline pumping big time. So
for sure,
yeah, it's a lot to do. So Tennessee lost me money on my straight pick. I had Tennessee winning on the money line. They got smoked. I had Buffalo over. That didn't hit. I did hit Las Vegas +4, and that was a fun game to watch. So on my straight backs, I lost 45, but I did end up winning. I won 13 plus my 15 back on that. I lost my college parlay, losing 3 of 4 games. That was pretty terrible. Lost 20 there. My teaser, I hit the Jets, I hit the Chargers, I hit the Rams, I hit Vegas, but Buffalo and Tennessee lost me there. So I still lost out on my 20 because, once again, a teaser and a parlay. If you lose one, you lose it all. So out of my 100, I got 28 back. So 15 I bet plus 13 I won on Vegas. But I also have more money to spend. We also have more money to spend this week because we forgot last week to claim our futures. So last season at the end, before the Super Bowl, we did future bets talking about who was going to win the baseball, World Series, and divisions and stuff, which that's still going on right now. So we'll be claiming that in later episodes. We talked about the NHL, same thing, the NBA, and we even made predictions about this year's football, who wins the division, Super Bowl, and stuff like that. So those are all live tickets for us, meaning there's still money out there we could win. That's what we mean when we say have a live ticket. But we do have tickets that are – some are lost and dead. And we're not going to go through all the lost and dead. We just don't have time. But we are going to go through what we did win and what extra money we have this week. So I put $10 on the Jazz to win their division last year. They did. And I only won $2 out of that, but I got my 10 back, so I won 12. Hey, I told you a win is a win. I took it. I knew it was going to happen. 10 to win 2. I had a big, and it wasn't necessarily a Hail Mary because a lot of people saw it coming, but I threw 5 on the Suns winning their division. It ended up happening. That 5 paid me $180. I got 185 because, that was. I'm a Suns fan, so I was rooting for it, but I was just calling the shot there. And then I also went into hockey. The only hockey one I won was the Avalanche winning their division. I put 10 on that, and I got 7, so I got 17 there. So after the 28 from there, futures 24 or 214, I got 242 to play with. Plus, we get $100 each week to play with. I'm not going to use it all this week. I'm not going to use all 342 of that this week. But we have more than 100. So if you notice our bets go over 100, it's because we have more to play with, and this is our gambling money.
Yeah, it's like our bankroll, right? So and like I said, the Phoenix Suns winning the division was super impressive. That was I think it was plus 3,600 or something. So, and what you showed there, Kaus, was you showed the positive results for a low risk, high reward bet with that because everybody thought it was going to be the Lakers or the Clippers, and then here's the Suns. Nobody's giving them a chance, and Oh, look at we found the division title.
Yep.
So I lost my straight bets. I lost on the Jets. They couldn't pull it out, but I did hit with Vegas, so I got 42 there. On my college parlay, I got 1 out of 3. TCU totally just dogged me in the morning. And then I only got 1 of my 4 morning games on my NFL teaser, and the afternoon I got 2 out of 3, but that's not a win. So I got 42 there. Then my futures for last year, I got 28 for Carolina winning the Central Division in the NHL. I got 180 for Tampa Bay winning the Stanley Cup. And so I've got about $250 plus my 100 for last week. So, or from this week rather. So, yeah, and I'm just going to keep that in my pocket. And you know what, Kaus, I might save that for week 4 when these teams start to really show what they are, and I can make, better informed decisions.
Not a bad call. Not a bad call. And, I did hit the home run with the Phoenix there. You weren't too far behind with Tampa Bay winning the Cup. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was 20 to win 160, but it was still low risk, high reward comparatively. Mm-hmm. So we each had a home run there, and we have baseball things that still look like they could or could not. Like I had a bunch on the Yankees, so we'll see how that happens. And so we got that going. And then, like I said, we still have stuff on. We picked division winners. We picked Super Bowl winners last year. So we do have live tickets, but those are our claimed tickets from last year.
For sure. You ready to go for this week, though?
I am ready to go for this week. And this week, I talk with a lot of people about football every week. Mm-hmm. And week 2 is miserable. Yeah. Even week 3 is, I truly think week 2 is the hardest of all of them. Mm-hmm. Because like you said, everybody's getting their footing in week 1. They're getting their timing. They're getting everything. So week 2 is tough. So my straight pick, and remember, straight pick is it's one bet. Okay, mm-hmm. So it's not just because we stay straight pick, and this week I actually do take the money line. I don't take the spread, but a spread pick is still a straight pick if you're just taking one thing, one bet, and that's it. So my straight pick is Cincinnati. I think the Bengals, and here's why I'm taking them on the money line, okay? And there's a difference between the money line. Remember, money line is no spread. Spread is spread. I think the wrong team's favored here. I think Cincinnati should. I don't understand how an Andy Dalton-led Chicago is favored. This line has moved, though. I think it started at 3.5, and it's down to 1 now. So I think Vegas is starting to realize that as well. The only thing I'm wondering is, are they knowing something we don't about Justin Fields going in? That's the only thing I think that maybe there's something that they know we don't, and that's why the line is what it is. But an Andy Dalton-led Chicago should not be favored in this game. Joe Burrow came back. He came back off an injury. Rookie year injury. Like, people aren't giving him enough credit for what he did last year. They do have, and this may play into them being the underdog, they do have the worst home record since 2018. They're 3-20-1. And Burrow is 0-5-1 with a QB rating of 45 in road starts. So that doesn't look good. But Dalton's 10-19 against the spread in his past 29 starts. In the spread being 1, it's like a pick 'em. I think Cincinnati's D is better than Chicago's D. I think Burrow's a better quarterback than Dalton. I think Cincinnati wins it. And I'm going to put 44 down on it to win an even $50.
Well, I'm going to pretty much just piggyback on that. So surprise, spoiler, my straight pick is also Cincinnati on the money line. I also think the wrong team is favored. I was very impressed with Cincinnati's play last week. And I was just like, I don't know what's going on in Chicago. What the old saying is, when you have 2 quarterbacks, you have none. Look, you got to make a decision. You either let Fields sit and watch for a year and watch Dalton, or you put him in now because you drafted him in the top half of the first round. He's going to play. And so do you just say, you know what, it's your ball, and if we go 3-13, we're going 3-13, and we're all in. I think mixing up the quarterback sends a mixed message to the team. It's like, who's our guy, right? And I was really impressed with how Cincinnati overcame adversity last week. I think Minnesota got that late field goal at the end, and then Cincinnati just worked in the overtime and yeah, they got it at the end, but they still got it. So I like Cincinnati as well. I think the wrong team's favored. I'm going to put 30 on this to win 34. And I think we've got a really good shot on this one.
Yeah. And I remember the days when you get drafted as a quarterback. It doesn't matter where you're drafted. You're sitting a year. Mm-hmm. And if you're drafted in the first round as a quarterback, you're expected to play unless maybe you're Lamar Jackson, who gets drafted in the last pick of the first round, and he ends up being an MVP. But he wasn't necessarily expected to start. But you're picked in the top 10 to 15. You're expected to start, and so I think a lot of people get butthurt when they don't start. Mm-hmm. I don't necessarily disagree with Chicago not playing him, but you're right. They need to come out and say, you're not playing. Like, this is your year to sit. Mm-hmm. Dalton gets hurt, then okay, that's something different. But
true.
Yeah, they need to come out and say that. I agree with
you. Yeah, it's a bad situation, man. And you keep going the whole year, right? And that's going to get a lot worse before it gets better. So I hope for Fields' sake, they get that straightened out, man. And it's not fair to Dalton either.
No, and you would have thought last year they would have learned their lesson after doing that Trubisky, with taking him out, putting him in, taking him out, putting him in. Like,
yeah,
okay.
Chicago going to Chicago, so
yeah, that's all right. All right, moving on. We have our parlays. Remember, parlay is when you pick two or more bets and put them together, and then you get an even lower risk for a higher reward, but all of them have to hit. Yep. If one bet doesn't hit and you got a 16 parlay, if 5 of them hit, you still lost. Okay, right. You have to hit them all. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start with Denver. I'm taking Denver over Jacksonville. Urban Meyer he's not going to USC. Why would you want to waste? You're making a ton of money, and not that he needs it, and he could go back to commentating, but why would you, man, being a college coach, you have to recruit, and that sucks. So he doesn't want to do that. He's poised to take Jacksonville and make them something, but he's not ready yet. T-Law is not ready yet. Like, they're not there. They're going to be, and I actually do think eventually, maybe a year or two down the road, they're going to be a force to reckon with, but they're not there yet. And you saw that last week. They got some learning to do, both of them. I mean, both of them do. When you look at Teddy Bridgewater, he looked great last week. He did lose Jerry Jeudy, but I still think he's going to do all right. He's 22-3 against the spread as a starter. So I'm taking him on a money line. I'm not even bothering with the points. I'm just taking him on the money line. But Denver rushes the ball a lot. And that defense is going to be – they're going to be poised and ready. And plus, Bradley Chubb coming back, Von Miller and him for the first time together in 2 years. Like, it's going to be – T-Law is going to – he's going to be hurting back there.
Yeah, it's going to be a long day for him for sure.
And then I'm going to go my last bet on that ticket is going to be the Green Bay-Detroit game. I'm going to put that over 48 because I truly think – relax. Remember that a couple years ago, and Aaron Rodgers was having that bad thing and came like he looked like shit. I mean, not just his play; he personally looked like shit. But I think he always does well against Detroit. Did I write down? No, I didn't write down. He always does well against Detroit. Like, his stats against Detroit are great. I think he has a comeback game. Whenever he gets smoked like that, he always comes back ready to play the next game. I think that was an eye-opener for him. Like, why did I not that I think he questions his decisions, but shit, I just did all that theatrics in the offseason, man. I better show up to play and get ready. So I think he bounces back. And I'm going to put 33 to win 100 on that.
And your middle pick there, the Rams on the money line, they're in Indianapolis, right?
Oh, shit. I missed that. Yes. I thought I talked about that. That's what beer does. I have 3 on there. I do have Rams at Indianapolis. That's my fault. Look, the Rams, they're legit. They're going to win that division. That division's good. If Arizona plays like they did last week every game, they are going to win that division. I don't think they can. And that's not me being a Cardinal hater. That's me being for real. And at Seattle, they're just too injury prone, but they could do it too. But I think you have Matt Stafford, who was a stat guy. He was in Detroit, and he got stats up the wazoo, but Detroit never won. And that's not because of Stafford. It's because of his surrounding staff. Now you got a good coach in McVay. You got a great defense. You got Aaron Donald on the other side of the ball. You got a supporting cast that you can throw it to. Like, I mean, he didn't have a Cooper Kupp, but like, he's in the perfect situation for him.
Well, yeah, and he had a couple weapons. I mean, Megatron, but I mean, you're right.
He did have Megatron. You're right.
They could never put it together though. Like it was, they were. If their passing game was really good, but their running game stunk. And then now in LA, you're totally right. He's got Woods and he's got Kupp, but he's also got a running game, and that's super important.
Yeah. So I think he might pull a Stafford and choke in the playoffs, but I definitely think they're a playoff team easily.
Well, yeah.
In Indy, you made the wrong. I love you, Frank Reich, but you made the wrong choice in Carson Wentz. I don't think Carson Wentz is as terrible as he was last week, but I don't think he's great either. Aaron Donald's just going to eat him up. So yeah, the Rams win that convincingly, but I am taking them on the money line just in case.
I like all of your picks. I especially like the Green Bay pick. I think Aaron Rodgers is literally in a put up or shut up year. And it's like, look, if he doesn't come through and get them to in my opinion, if he doesn't get them to the championship game or the Super Bowl, he's going to be gone. And because they just don't have any time for him. I was talking with my buddy about it, and I was like, the Green Bay Packers remind me of the Dallas Mavericks. They get one title. They're always pretty good. But they never seem to get past the second round. And they win enough games to keep people happy, and they have a superstar or two, and then but they just can't put it together. So, but yeah, this week I totally see him. I see him blasting Detroit. I think that's a 34-17 game.
Well, look, he's the reigning MVP.
Oh, I know.
He didn't play the preseason. He didn't forget how to play football. Like it's not like he came back. He's washed up. He's old. He's the reigning MVP for a reason. He's going to come out and he's going to play and he's going to ball out and it's going to happen. He just needed to play. I mean, he needed to get in there. He needed to get his ass whipped. I mean, we're both teachers. There's sometimes where I'm like, kids, you need to fail. Not that I want you to fail, but you learn from failure.
You got to fail.
Like you didn't really know that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that game was just that was a shit show of epic proportions. They couldn't do anything right. So that I totally see him bouncing back in a big way.
But I'll tell you who liked that game was Vegas, because I'm sure they made a shit ton of money on that game.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
All right, what are you doing, Parlay? Looks like you're staying in the college side of the world for Parlay.
Yeah, I think I decided to change it up a little bit this week. So I'm going to do two team parlays for college. I'm going to do an AM and a PM. My AM parlay, I'm going to take Oklahoma -23 against Nebraska and Colorado -2 against Minnesota. So I'm like kind of going, I know that Fox is advertising this game as like this Big 8, this old Big 8 showdown. So I'm going to do a Big 8 parlay right here. Oklahoma, I think they've got their I think Spencer Rattler's got his stuff together now after 2 weeks. Nebraska is junk. They beat a bad FCS team, and they lost to a bad FBS team in Illinois. They're going to go to Oklahoma and get smoked. I'll lay the points. I think this is a 34-7 game. And then I got Colorado. I thought Colorado was very impressive last week against Texas A&M, even though they lost. Their defense was unreal. Their offense just couldn't get going. I think the offense gets enough on the board this week to beat Minnesota. I see this going Colorado's way, 28-24, which would make me a winner. $15 win, 39.
I agree. And I like that. The only thing that worries me, and my college picks this week are all in the teaser because, man, there's a lot of damn points right there. And I get it. That's 3 touchdowns and a field goal. And I don't, man, Nebraska's not good, but that scares me because it's like I said last week when I said, hey, Herm Edwards doesn't like to run up the score. And I'm not saying Oklahoma won't run up the score, but you run that risk of a backdoor interception or scoop and score or something that just makes it 21 instead of 24. And you're like, God damn it, I just lost because of that. So that's what worries me when I get into that many points. But I like your picks other than that.
Yeah, well, it's always a concern, right? You're 100% right. And when you have when you have a really well, not even a really good, when you have a good team playing a garbage team, you always run the risk of 2 things. You always run the risk of that backdoor second team against second team score, and you also run the risk of a team like Arizona State last week not running up the score and then totally destroying your picks. So those are valid concerns, but I think Oklahoma is going to get ahead and they're going to stay ahead and they're just going to go on cruise control. I think, man, I hate to say it, but I think Scott Frost is in over his head, man. I think Nebraska is more of a fixed job than they think it is.
Well, and I'm trying to look here right now, and I can't find it real quick. But I just want to tell everybody, when Tony's taking the points here, you're taking the point. The reason you're taking the points is because you think you can cover. There it is. Oh, they don't even have a money line spread on it yet. So sometimes in college, when the game is too lopsided, they won't even give you a money line on it. You have to take the points, which is maybe why you took it. But other times they will put a money line on there, but it's going to be like minus 5,000, and that's not even an exaggeration. I saw that more than not last year with these big spread games. So if Tony would have done that with Oklahoma on the money line, if they had a money line, his $15 might have won him 10 for that parlay. Like it's almost, I don't want to say not worth it because a win is a win and the win is worth it, but you're getting better odds by taking the points, especially if you think they can cover that.
100%. In the evening, I think I've got 2 evening games here. I've got UCLA and Fresno over 63.5. UCLA under Chip Kelly is starting to put points up again. They're averaging 40 points a game this season. Fresno is very underrated. They went to Oregon and played them very well. I see this game just being a shootout. I don't think the punters are even going to get in the game. So I like that game going over. And then I like BYU on the money line this week against ASU. And I'm picking that just more for they're at home. And I think that's going to be enough for them. I think the forks are gonna go down. BYU. This is gonna sound really weird, right? I think BYU is a hostile place to play. Those fans are so close to the field. It is unreal. I think BYU wins. I took them on the money line. They're favored by 3.5. I think BYU wins this game on a late field goal. I think they win by 1 or 2. So that's why I'm going with the money line here instead of the points. So my 15 will win me 58 if BYU turns out to be the hostile place to play that I think it is. You're disgusted.
They're not favored. They're underdogs by 3.5. You said they're favored. BYU is not favored.
Oh, yes. My bad. Sorry about
that. I was checking. I'm like, man, I might be a little too intoxicated. I didn't think they were favored. So I love your UCLA pick. I hated Chip Kelly as an NFL coach. I loved him as a college coach. I'm glad to see him back. I'm glad to see him doing well, even though it is a Pac-12 Pac-12 team. It makes Pac-12 look good, but it's not good for ASU. Being an ASU fan, you take that double-edged sword there. But I agree. I think there's going to be a lot of points in that game. I took Arizona State. I took them in a teaser, like I told you guys earlier. I'll talk about my teaser in a little bit, but BYU is a lot of people's pick this week. There are a lot of people's pick this week because ASU's played.
You played what? Southern Utah and UNLV.
Yeah, I don't want to say shitty teams because they're not terribly shitty. They're not UNLV, but they were powder puff games. Okay, let's be real.
You can say that. You can say they're shitty.
Yeah, they are. But they played powder puff games, and they didn't win convincingly. But how much of that is Herm Edwards not running up a score? How much of that is him trying out different things, not trying to show a lot of film against these teams he knows he's going to win? When he gets to a BYU, he doesn't want them to have a lot of film on what he's going to do. When you watch those games, they were running a bunch of different plays and stuff like that. So while I understand what's going on, ASU is still favored by 3.5. And that's also they're on the road. And while it's hostile, I still think that ASU is going to come out. They're going to show them things they haven't seen on film yet, and they're going to. I think it's going to be a test. BYU is kind of. I don't want to say they're looking ahead, but I was listening to a radio station today, and they were talking about how BYU is saying if they can beat ASU, that they got a legit shot to New Year's Eve 6 or a New Year's 6 game. And their schedule actually allows it for it. When I was looking at the schedule, I'm like, wow, that's not a bad call, but they got to get through ASU. And I don't think they do. They've had some convincing play, but I think ASU is underrated for what – I don't think they're underrated for what they've done, but what they're capable of.
I really liked how BYU played against Utah last week. I really liked it, and I thought that was kind of
and that's a huge win for them.
Yes,
huge win.
And Utah is a good Pac-10 team or Pac-12 team, I should say. Holy smokes, I'm living in 1990 right now. I just did a podcast about Pearl Jam, so I'm way living in 1990.
I listen. I haven't finished it yet, but I just started listening. I liked it, but
yeah, I think this one might be we just agree to disagree here, but it's going to be very interesting. I'm really looking forward to watching this. And as someone who's lived in the Valley, I really do support Arizona State athletics. I just think that my money here is going to go on BYU, and if it goes sideways, I still have the morning teaser, right? Or
brother,
parlay, right?
Hey. I'm an ASU fan through and through, so I'm hoping you're wrong for that. But I always hope you win money. I always hope the best for you. But you're gonna lose. I'm sorry, you're gonna lose.
Well, let's talk.
Technically, I have ASU in a teaser, so we can both win. But you're gonna lose. I'm sorry.
Let's talk about that teaser of yours. I know you have an NCAA teaser and you have an NFL teaser this week, don't you?
Well, I guess we'll start with the NCAA since we're there. I'm teasing the favorites. I have the favorites across the board for a reason. So Michigan, they're going to smoke. They're 27.5, I think is the spread. I teased it to 21.5. Like we said before, it's a lot of points, but with the teaser, you have to take points. And I'm going to tease it down to 3 touchdowns, basically 3 touchdowns. I think they win by a lot more. I think it's like 41-10. I'm taking your Wolf Pack. I'm going with the Wolf. I'm going with the Pack, baby. What? Oh, Jesus! I just blanked on your quarterback's name.
Carson Strong.
Carson Strong, dude.
Projected number 1 pick next year's draft.
Dude's legit, and I'm all for it. And when you're going to give Nevada some points, I'm going to take it. Okay, I lied. I did not take all the favorites. I forgot about Purdue. Notre Dame is overrated. I think they win this game. I do think Notre Dame wins this game, but I think it's like a field goal. If that, it might not be. It might be like last night's Thursday night football game where it was like a field goal at the end to win it. So I'm going to take as many points as I can. I'm going to take Purdue plus 13.5, ASU plus 2.5. We already talked about that, but that's where you can see if BYU does win by a point, we both win. Iowa State kills them 26.5. I teased that down to 26.5. And once again, we talked about UCLA, and I'm taking them minus 4.5. My 10 will win me 60 on that teaser.
I like Iowa State a lot. They're coming off a bad loss against Iowa, and they're playing at UNLV, and UNLV stinks. I mean,
they're shit. UNLV is shit. I'll take anybody against UNLV every day.
I would take us 2 and 9 other guys. No, but we say that they're trying to build something. I get that, but you know, they're not very good right now, and it's too bad for them. But who cares? But let's talk about your strategy on the Purdue game. You teased up Purdue from 7.5 to 13.5. So you're taking that from. This is really important. I think you're taking it from basically 1 touchdown to 2, right? Against a team that historically play. I think Notre Dame plays down to their competition. I've been screwed by Notre Dame more times than I can count, and it's basically because you'll go into a game and they'll play somebody like a Purdue or like an Indiana or like a Navy, and it's like these guys should win by 4 touchdowns. And you look later at you're watching the game in third and fourth quarters, they're up by 7, and it's like,
yeah,
what is going on here? Why can you not just beat a team convincingly doesn't have a direction in their name? So it's very interesting that you take that Purdue bet up to 13.5. I really like that strategy. I think Purdue's kind of rebuilding, but man, Notre Dame just doesn't move the needle for me at all.
No, and you probably said it best. They play to their competition. Their games are close against every team, shitty or good or whatever. They're close games, and so that's why I'm going to take as many points as I can, and I'm going to take that. So I'm hoping that happens.
I think that's a great move. Just looking, Notre Dame beat Toledo by 3, and they beat Florida. Freaking awful Florida State team by 3.
Yeah.
So why and now you're talking about week 3. These teams have had some practice time. You know, I like your chances on that. Really do.
I don't think Purdue is good enough to win the game, but I think they're good enough to stay in the game.
I 100% agree. Purdue's played two not so great teams, but I think you're right. I think they're good enough to stay in the game by 2 touchdowns for sure.
Yeah.
You want to talk about your NFL teaser real quick?
Ooh, I got my Bills. They're coming back. That was week 1. It was week 1. Okay. Cardinals fans, week 1, not going to the Super Bowl. Bills fans, week 1, they're not the worst team in the league. It's week 1. Okay. And I don't mean that bad to Cardinals fans. Everybody knows I'm not a Cardinal fan at all. I'm more of a Cardinal hater, but if they keep playing like that, they played amazing last week. But Buffalo comes back. 25% of Josh Allen's touchdowns have been against Miami. So Buffalo's going to come back strong in Miami, and they're going to smoke them. But I'm going to tease them up and take the points just in case. It only gives me a field goal. It's Buffalo plus 3, but it's going to happen. They're going to win anyway, so I'm going to take it. The Saints, Carolina, I'm going to go ahead and take the under in that, and I'm going to tease it up. I'm going to tease it up to 50.5, and then I'm going to take the under. I don't think I almost said Stafford.
It's Winston,
Carolina's
and
quarterback.
Darnold.
I don't think Darnold has he's not comfortable enough in Carolina to put up that many points. I think the best thing for Jameis Winston is Sean Payton, but I don't think he's going to have the week he had last week. I think that might be a fluke. I still think New Orleans wins. Just mainly because of their defense more than their offense. So that's why I'm going under there. Philly, I think Philly might win outright this week just because San Francisco's so hurt. But I think it's going to be a close game regardless. So I'm going to take Philly plus 9. The Raiders, everybody's picking against the Raiders this week. I think the Raiders win outright. I don't think Pittsburgh's defense back. The steel curtain, man, it's starting to look like that. When I was watching them against Buffalo, and part of that was Buffalo playing bad, but a lot of that was their defense was playing really good. I think Pittsburgh's defense looks really good, but I just think, damn, Vegas' passing game is too good. Like that, it's too good. So I think they got a good chance to win that outright. But if I could tease that up and take almost 2 touchdowns at 12.5 with Vegas plus 12.5, I'm going to take it. Since we already talked about, I'm going to tease them up, take +7. Look, Minnesota plus 9.5. I don't think Minnesota is a bad team. Arizona looked phenomenal last week. I don't want to say it's a fluke, but I don't think they're as good as they look last week. And I don't think Tennessee's as bad as they looked last week. But here's the problem. Everybody, Chandler Jones and J.J. Watt, you're playing captain check down. Like, he is going to get the ball out of his hands too quick for it to matter. And I think that's going to slow the game down. I don't think that's going to give Arizona enough chances to score a lot. So when I take Minnesota plus 9.5, I'm going to take that. And then Atlanta, I do like the trolling Tom Brady did of Atlanta this week. Yeah, however, when you're going to tell me Atlanta's going to get 18.5 points, I'm taking Atlanta. I do think Tampa Bay wins this. I think it's going to be closer than you think it's going to be. But 18.5 points, I don't see Tampa Bay running away that big with that. So my $12 on the 7-teamer is going to be $108 coming in.
I really like those bets. I like your strategy on the Raiders. The only thing that scares me about the Raiders is they historically don't play well in the Eastern time zone. But the passing game did look good. Jacobs is out, but they can play Drake, which is a nice change of pace.
He's a great addition. He was a great addition
for sure. Atlanta, I don't think they're as bad as they were last week. And I think I really, when I was watching that Atlanta game, all I was thinking was this is just a preseason game for them. We have to remember too, these teams are coming off of, they haven't played a preseason game since 2019. And then they played 4 preseason games in 2019, 0 in 2020, and 3 in 2021. The first week was, I think, and this goes to your Arizona point as well, you saw a lot of teams who probably played up, and you saw a lot of teams that played down. I think New Orleans is an example of a team that played up. I think Arizona is an example of a team that played up. I don't think they're as good as they looked. Chandler Jones isn't going to get 5 sacks every game.
No.
Ryan Tannehill is not going to look like Ryan Tannecrap every game. But these teams are trying to find themselves still. And I think getting 18.5 points, even at the defending champions, is a great move.
Yeah, I don't see how that loses, to be honest with you. So you went on your teasers. You did once again your AM PM, and man, I got to get on that train. I just can't do it. But what did you start in your AMs here?
So in my AMs, I went San Francisco +3. So that means that if you took Philadelphia +9, so if San Francisco wins by 6, we can both be winners. I took New Orleans +2.5. I think Carolina, that Jets team, I think the Jets just ran out of time. I think if your game is 70 minutes instead of 60 minutes, I think the Jets win. But we know that's not the case. I don't think Carolina has enough points in their barrel to score with New Orleans. I like the Rams against Indianapolis. I think they're just a better team. And I like Vegas as well. 15 to win 39.
And I agree with your New Orleans over Carolina. Darnold looked the best he's ever looked, in my opinion. He looked the best he ever looked. But he still didn't look great. He looked like an average starting quarterback. Okay.
They were 1 possession away from losing. Remember, the Jets had the ball and they were driving with a chance to win.
Yeah.
So, and the other thing too is Darnold's not going to play his old team every week.
No, and that's, it's his old team, but it's not his old coach. Like, it's different when it's your old team with your old coach.
True.
So I think that made a little bit of difference in that too. But so what you do in the afternoon?
Oh, the afternoon. Oh, we have a lot of magic in the afternoon. I took Arizona plus 2.5. I think they win this game, but I don't think they win by a lot. But I'm not going to take any chances. I'm going to tease that up and get 2.5 points. So this is another one of those where if Arizona wins by 6, we're both winners on our teasers. I took the Chargers plus 2.5 over Dallas. Justin Herbert they didn't look fantastic against Washington. I thought when Taylor Heineke came into the game, I just looked at my buddy at the time. I go, this is bad for the Chargers. And it almost was because I don't think they were prepared for him. But that offense of the Chargers, I mean, they first drive of the game, man, Eckler gets a TD and it's like, ugh. And look, I hate watch the Chargers. I hate watch the Chargers. And they were very impressive to me.
Oh, how can you hate watch Chargers? I love that kid. Herbert's the man. I love that kid. Sorry.
Oh man, because they ruined football watching in this market, but it is what it is. I took Seattle.
I love Herbert.
I teased Seattle down to minus 0.5 just because I just think they're better. Tennessee's flying out west. Tennessee looked like garbage last week. I think Seattle wins this game. I think they win it late. I think they win by 6. And I teased down Tampa Bay. So I teased them down to minus 6.5. So this is yet another case in our bets house where, Tampa Bay wins by 12 or 13. We're both winners. So that's nice.
And I want to talk about this
again.
Yeah, that's right. I want to talk about the Seattle game for a second here. Look, Tennessee's past 5 losses. Henry hasn't got a touchdown. He's touched the ball 100 times, hasn't got a touchdown. Henry gets a touchdown. They got a chance to win that game. And I don't think, like I said, I don't think they're as terrible as they were last week. What's going for you here is they're at home. Seattle's at home, and Wilson's going for his 100th win.
So
his 100th win in 10 seasons. The only other quarterback do this, Peyton freaking Manning. So
no, I agree with you, and I think that being home is important. If this game was on the road, I probably would Allison chains this game, man. I'd stay away.
Well, the 12th man's back. 12th man's back. So
true.
I like it. That game worries me a little bit, but other than that, in the Arizona, we could both win. I don't know.
It's
all right. So we got to. Go ahead.
It's just so hard. It's like overreaction week 2. We've had a week to stew on what we saw on Sunday, and a lot of it is like, did we really see the true colors of this team? Like, let's take it for example, San Francisco and Detroit. Do you think San Francisco is? They held on it. They got up big, and then they held on at the end. I think they held on at the end because Goff was forced to throw the ball, and he made some good decisions, and they got that lucky onside kick. Is San Francisco really only 8 points better than Detroit? Probably not. But that's why they play the games.
Well, now maybe because of their injuries. Now maybe they injured a cornerback, they injured Mostert. Like maybe now, but before that, no, you're right.
What if Pittsburgh played Buffalo again? I thought Buffalo looked terrible. I don't think they look terrible again. So it's just one of those things where you get. I think that, like you said earlier, man, I think it's going to take 3 weeks before you can look at this and go, now if Atlanta is 0-3 after 3 weeks and they get beat by 25 points each game, you look at that team and go, that might be the end of the line. They might be done, but I full on expect Arizona to come back to earth. I full on expect San Francisco a little bit of a letdown. I expect a little bit of a letdown from Philadelphia. So yeah, it's still kind of a crapshoot, but I'm not saying it's not fun.
I agree. All right, this week we are adding a new type of bet. These are some of my favorite bets. We're talking about prop bets. Prop bets are bets that everything we've done here, we've been talking about the outcome of the game. Over, under, who wins, by how many points. We talk about the outcome of the game. Prop bets are anything that don't. Okay. And some you can parlay, some you can't. But everyone we're doing today, we're just talking about straight prop bets. So I'm going to do that. Denver is going to go over 24.5 points themselves. So Denver will score 24.5 points, even though that is an outcome of the game. It's just about Denver. So that's what makes it a prop bet. Look, with Teddy Bridgewater being 22-3 against the spread,
which is incredible, by the way.
Correct. In Jacksonville, looking like they did last week on defense, I don't see how Denver can't. When you're talking about the spread is 6, the over-under is 45.5. I think Denver's going to account for over half of that over-under, which is going to put me over 24.5. So my 46 is going to win me 40 there. I am going back to my Bills. I'm going to my boy Allen. Yeah, he got paid, but he's going to do a lot to earn that money. He's not going to be like a lot of these players that I got paid and then they suck. Josh Allen, I have him throwing over 1.5 touchdowns. Okay, he's going to go off. Him and Diggs are going to get their mojo back. I'm going to put 25 on that to win 10. So I'm putting more than half of my money down to win less than half. Like, it's going to happen. And obviously Vegas thinks so too. And then I'm going to go to that Seattle game that you were talking about. I think that's going to be a run-heavy game on both sides. I think they're going to try to get Henry involved, and I think Carson's going to be involved. So I'm actually I think Carson's going to go over 100 yards. So I'm taking over 98 yards rushing for Chris Carson. And my 20 is going to win me $37. And each one of those are individual prop bets. They are not parlayed together. But I think those got a good chance. And guys, there's tons of prop bets out there. Tons. You could bet like if somebody stubs their toe.
It's incredible how many opportunities there are to make money with the prop bets. And you know what's cool, man, is that like it used to be that you would see prop bets mainly at the Super Bowl just because, you know, it's one game and you've given a lot of opportunities to win some money. But I love how since sports gambling has expanded so much that these prop bets have increased just in normal weekly regular season games. I mean, I love it so much. I think you have three great opportunities there. I'm not impressed with I'm not impressed with Jacksonville. They kind of pretty much laid an egg last week, but that's a young team too. That's a young team. You're
young
looking
team,
at
young coach. I mean, not a young coach, but a
young NFL coach. Yeah, there you go. There you go. That's better. And Denver, I mean, Bridgewater looked great. I was so impressed. And you know what's funny is Bridgewater's on his 5th team.
I know.
His 5th team.
I know.
That was when I thought about that the other day. I'm like, oh, that's like holy smokes. That's unreal for a first round pick to be on his 5th team. I think, but the Bills bounce back in a big way. I really like your one.
And like I said, 25% of Josh Allen's TDs have come against Miami. Don't tell me he's not going to get 3 tomorrow, Sunday.
Well, they're not playing Pittsburgh, so that's good news. That's good news.
All right, what do you got for your props?
I went with a couple of outcomes for the games. I took in. I was kind of I like this that when I bet it on the Super Bowl last year, I got Tampa Bay to win their game against Atlanta by 13 to 18 points. That pays 10 to win 40. And I like New England to win by 7 to 12 points over the Jets. That's 10 to win 40. I think we both can agree that Tampa Bay is a far superior team to Atlanta. But we're talking about, you know, a case where maybe Tampa Bay gets up 35 to 10, let in a couple of backdoor ones at the end, and all of a sudden it's 35-17, 35-20. So, you know, I like Tampa Bay winning around 2 touchdowns.
And that's why I don't like these prop bets, the ones you're doing, because you're limiting. Now, you're plus 400, so your $10 is making you 40 on both of these. So it's a low risk, high reward.
True.
But I don't like where it limits. I mean, you're basically saying the score of this game is going to be this to this. And that's really tough to do. Well, like the New England, New York. I mean, Bill Belichick against rookies is amazing. His record against rookies up until last year when he beat Tua, it was like 9-0 or something like that. And I have it written down here somewhere, but he's 21-6 against first year QBs. He was 9-0 against rookies until Tua last year beat him. But that was because he had Cam Newton, who's not even on the team anymore. You know, last year was a bad year for New England. So I don't think New England loses this by any means. But is it? I think it's one way or the other. I think it's a blowout, or I think it's really close, which at 7-12 might not fall in that area. So that's where I worry about those. It's like, man, you got a 5-point window you have to be in, and any backdoor touchdown or field goal could ruin that.
You're totally right.
That's why it's low risk, high reward.
You are 100% right. The reason why I went with New England winning by 7-12 is because of the Zach Wilson factor. Zach got off to a rough start last week in the first half. He kind of got it together in the second half. And they did have the ball and were driving with a chance to win at the end. But, I mean, they lost by 5 to Carolina. Now they're at home. New England just seems to have their number. Not saying that I'm overly impressed with Mac Jones, not saying I'm overly impressed with their personnel on the Patriots, but I see this game ending like, man, I see this as like 14-6. I mean, not a lot of points scored, but New England I see winning this game. But you're right, Kaus. It is a risky bet in that I am limiting my options. So if Tampa Bay wins the game 38-19, I'm a loser by 1 point. So that's tough. So I agree. It's the risk reward is there. I am limiting myself a little bit, but Tampa Bay's coming off a close win last week against Dallas. New England's coming off a close loss against Miami. I think it's in the cards for me to pick these up this week.
There you go. Well, we'll agree to disagree on those, but I hope for your sake, like I said, I always hope for the best for you, brother.
Oh, same.
All right. Well, that concludes our week 2 edition. I hope you guys have a great weekend. BS, I hope you have a great weekend. I hope y'all win money, take down Vegas. Here in Arizona, you can take down Vegas from Arizona legally now. Remember, hit us up with your questions. We're on all the platforms. Facebook is at BSB Podcast 1. Twitter is same thing. You'll see this on YouTube, or you can listen to the audio. We have our email, bsbpodcast1@gmail.com. Guys, we'll be posting live bets Saturday and Sunday of what we're doing. Like, hey, Tony just did this, or I just did that, or what we're betting on live in the moment, what we're doing. Because like we said, we do way more than this. It's just this is all we have time for on the show. And remember, while you're taking our picks to the window to either make money or fade them, we don't guarantee anything we do. This is purely for entertainment. Have a great weekend, guys. Love you, BS.
Love you, Kaus. Talk to you later next week. Bye-bye.
Yes, sir.